Hello, everyone. Happy Sunday and warm wishes for this upcoming week as we get ready to step into the new year. I hope you are all doing well and taking really good care of yourselves. And for those that celebrate, I hope you had a wonderful holiday. Let's dive right into this week's forecast. Obviously, as you can see, this is audio, not video. I actually thought that I pre-recorded this and I realized I didn't, and I'm away from my office, so audio it is this week. This is the breakdown, the astrology and the energies for Monday, December 29th through Sunday, January 4th. Our tagline for this week ahead: release and renew, the new year meets you. Before we get into the daily breakdown, I will say we have a mixture of energies this week, as always. There is potential for quite a bit of clarity and also quite a bit of confusion. So it's really important as we move throughout this week to make sure that we are thoughtfully speaking and intentionally speaking. There are moments this week that can feel like we're looking through a foggy mirror. That is the way that the energies are. Astrologically speaking, we've got Mercury, the planet of communication and information and perception. Mercury is in the very end, the very last degrees of Sagittarius, moving into a square, which is a tense aspect, with both Saturn, the planet of boundaries, and Neptune, the planet of illusion, fantasy, water. With that said, this can absolutely cloud our judgment. It can cloud our perception. We also want to be very conscious of what we are allowing ourselves to subscribe to emotionally, physically, spiritually. What are we feeding ourselves? What are we choosing to allow to infiltrate our energy, infiltrate our aura? Like I always say, it's really important to stop and ask yourself, because you will likely feel triggered this week by someone or something. It's really important to stop, drop in, ask yourself, is this worth my cortisol? Is this worth my stress levels? 9 times out of 10, the answer to that is no. Releasing control is extremely important, and remaining in your own energy, not allowing others to siphon it as best as you can. On the positive side, this is a really great week for projects, for discipline, for anything that requires our focus, especially things that we're building. We've got strong Capricorn energy here. We've got the Sun in Capricorn, we've got Venus in Capricorn, and we've got Mars in Capricorn. These three are together in the sign of Capricorn, really assisting us in the tagline: release and renew, the new year meets you. What are you building? What are you letting go of? Just a few questions to ponder this week. It is also a full moon week. We have our first full moon of the year on January 3rd, Saturday the 3rd, and I'm going to be back shortly with your full moon reading. So stay tuned for that with your ritual and your guided meditation. But this is the first full moon of the year. It's in the sign of Cancer. Cancer is the moon's preference. The moon is in its domicile in the sign of Cancer. This brings forth the focus of family and home life and foundation and what that feels like for us. And I'll get into this more in the full moon reading, but just to note, this full moon, the first full moon of the year, is in the sign of Cancer. And then we're actually going to have 2 full moons in Cancer this year, because the final full moon of 2026 is going to be in Cancer as well. So that lets us know that, amongst other things, this year is going to have a very strong focus for all of us personally on what feels like home, what feels right, what feels good, what makes us feel like we are in alignment and in our heart and in our emotional truth. Very strong focus this year. It's also a 1 year, so it's very powerful for new beginnings. And in a lot of cases, we have to have endings to have those new beginnings. So to bring it back to the tagline, release and renew, the new year meets you. Let's get into the day by day. Monday the 29th, the moon will enter Taurus early in the morning. We always like the moon in Taurus. This is a very calming, stabilizing energy. It tends to be more grounded within the emotional realms, the overtone, the collective overtone. And that moon enters Taurus early in the morning, and it will instantly square off with Pluto, the planet of power and transformation, reminding us of how strong we are, of how resilient we are, and of how far we come. This is a very good energy. It aligns very nicely with the current Capricorn energy that we have, helping us to really get serious and clear and to define our goals, define what it is that we are working toward, what's of most importance, what's of value. Juno will also enter the sign of Capricorn and will remain there until March 29th. Who is Juno, you might ask? Juno is, well, There's a lot of mythology to Juno, but I'll give you the cliff notes. Juno is what we call the asteroid of soulmates. She's an asteroid of soulmates and marriage. And while Juno is in Capricorn, Capricorn is the sign of responsibility and commitment, long-term commitment. And so with Juno entering Capricorn, commitment takes center stage. This is not just soulmate relationships, soulmate as in romantic soulmate relationships. Soulmates come in all forms and in all different types of relationships. With that said, we are much more commitment minded while Juno traverses the sign of Capricorn. This is a great time for drawing up contracts, making deals, and even getting engaged if you are in the market for that. Looking for commitments, solidifying commitments of sorts. All favored while Juno is in Capricorn. If you want to know more about Juno, I do have a YouTube video that I did a really long time ago on Juno through the signs. I will see if I can find it. I'll link it here. If not, it's on my YouTube. Just put Juno in the search bar. So that's Monday. On Tuesday the 30th, Mercury is going to bump up with Saturn, bump up against Saturn. And this absolutely can feel very confusing and very frustrating. Can being the operative word, it doesn't have to, as long as we are aware of the energy and we are moving with it as opposed to against it. But this does have the potential to be frustrating. It could feel even stronger if you are someone who's got strong, mutable energy, meaning Sagittarius, Pisces, Virgo, Gemini. This energy can lead to plenty of miscommunications. So it's really important that when we get to Tuesday, we take a moment to really collect our thoughts and to stay in the space of reflection instead of reaction, instead of jumping to the worst conclusion or conclusions, because this has the potential to also be a paranoid aspect, paranoid energy. Just remain mindful of it. I also feel that, Monday through Thursday especially can prove to be quite messy when it comes to travel, particularly air travel, due to weather, due to ice, due to wind, and just delays overall. So just be conscious of that if you are traveling. Obviously, don't change your plans, but just remain aware of scheduling, timing, etc. And know that your energy levels might dip a little bit on Tuesday. Use the time to meditate, use the time to reflect. The moon is still in Taurus, which is good. It's going to trine Venus, Mars, and the Sun, which is nice. It's also going to harmonize with the nodes. So we do have some softness here on Tuesday as well, as long as we're remaining aware of the fact that it could feel a little confusing and frustrating. Wednesday, the 31st, is New Year's Eve. Now, Tuesday going into Wednesday, I want to stress that the dream space, I know dreams have been extremely colorful lately, and a lot of repetition is going on in the dream space. You might find, for example, that a few nights you're dreaming of a hotel, and it could be different context in every dream, but a hotel features strongly. Or perhaps it's your childhood home or your deceased childhood pet. Plug and play for everyone. It's going to feel different if this resonates, but just know that the dream space is going to be very colorful this week, but particularly Tuesday into Wednesday, as we've got that Mercury Saturn energy going on. And then early morning Wednesday, we've got that moon in Taurus harmonizing with Saturn and Neptune. It's going to also align with Uranus. So insights, and profound ones at that, can come in through the dream space. Dreaming of loved ones that are departed, very common right now. These are visitations. Keep your dream journal handy. There's messages here. Animals are also strong carriers of messages from the spirit realm, as is music. If you feel like you're receiving a sign, you are. Trust it. Marvel in the beauty of the fact that everything is energy, and energy never dies. It transforms. The moon will enter Gemini early in the morning also on Wednesday, 8:15 a.m., around there, Eastern time. This makes the energy very chatty, very communicative, very effervescent for New Year's Eve if you celebrate or even if you do not. The moon will also harmonize with Pluto, and now Mercury will square off with Neptune. I want to say something, and again, you know me, if you've been with me for a while, I don't do the fear-mongering thing. I genuinely try not to, but I do like to always make sure that I share it when I feel that the energy is very spiky, tense, hot button, let's just say. And sometimes I'll even receive more insight on specific areas. In this case, I'm just going to say this. Astrology aside, although the current astrology supports what I'm about to say, New Year's Eve, I would not be out and about in crowds. As you can see in real time, New Year's Eve events are being canceled in several areas. If you want to go down that rabbit hole, go right ahead. But I will just say that Aside from that, feelings wise, I'm not a huge New Year's Eve person. I've never been. I like to be comfortable on New Year's Eve. I like to just be usually we spend time with family just at someone's house close by. And for me, that's perfect. I don't like to be out and about on New Year's Eve. I never did. Even in my heyday, I was not that person down in Times Square. I never felt energetically good about being out on New Year's Eve. But having said that, I'm saying this from a very objective and neutral space and also a very intuitive space. This particular New Year's Eve, to me, feels very, very messy. I do not feel it's the best night to be out and about, whether it was New Year's Eve or not, but the fact that it is New Year's Eve just amplifies that. So if you can stay close to home, smaller crowds, smaller groups, be with your loved ones, enjoy yourself, do your thing, but just be aware. I just don't love the energy of New Year's, the 31st, for crowds. Let's move into Thursday, January 1st, the beginning of the new year. Rabbit, 2026 begins. Mercury enters Capricorn on this day, will remain there until January 20th. While Mercury's in Capricorn, collectively speaking, we are all operating under that energy, which makes it's definitely a more clear energy, a much more clearer energy than Mercury in Sagittarius is. So that's positive. It's very practical. So Mercury in Capricorn leads to us all being more in the arena of practical communication. It's not really messy. It's more thorough. It's more deliberate. It's more structured. We could definitely use that as we start off the new year. The moon will also square off with Neptune. So Thursday to me feels like more of a chill day. It's also New Year's Day, and it does tend to be very quiet. So you may find yourself quiet, very quiet, also maybe in cleanup mode. Then Friday the 2nd, the moon will enter Cancer early in the morning, and it will oppose both Mercury and Juno right off the top. Chiron will station direct at 22 degrees and 36 minutes of Aries. Chiron is the wounded healer or the wounded warrior. Reminds us that our wounds carry strength. And Chiron now stationing direct, moving forward again. This is a great time to work on healing our inner child, to continue on working on healing our inner child and doing that which brings joy into our lives. And it also helps us tend more and care more to our and for our long ignored needs. So this is also a great energy to move into the new year with, because it's reminding us that as the healing truly begins, we're entering the year with a clean slate. We're not carrying the wounds of the past. We're not carrying them in the same way that we have before. That's this energy. It's very supportive of that. We're dropping some karmic weights out of our psychic backpack. Think of it that way. Then on Saturday the 3rd, we have our first full moon of 2026. This full moon occurs at 5:03 a.m. Eastern Time at 13 degrees of Cancer. That full moon reading will be out soon, so stay tuned. But in a nutshell, this moon is going to feel emotional, but not necessarily in a negative way. It's going to feel tender. There's going to be a strong focus, as with Cancer energy there always is, on what feels good and what feels safe and what feels like home. Home is not just a place. Home is a feeling. And so this is about our family of choice, our family of origin, the way that we feel, our emotional foundation, what we're choosing to surround ourselves with, whom we're choosing to surround ourselves with. Very strong focus on what this all means to us as we start off this new year, what we can let go of that's no longer supporting our soul, supporting our growth, supporting our vision for ourselves, for our future. This moon in Cancer will oppose the Sun, Mars, and Venus all in Capricorn. It will also align with Jupiter, which definitely sweetens the mix here, reminding us of what's possible, reminding us of what is still abundant in our lives. And the moon will harmonize with the nodes of destiny. It's a mixed bag, emotional, but also productive. It's a good full moon to relax and reflect under. The moon is in its home sign of Cancer, so it's very comfortable here, very cozy here. So I do like this full moon, even though it carries a lot of strong energy with it. And please note that we're also going to have a full moon in Cancer at the end of December of this year to close out the year. So we're starting the year off with a full moon in Cancer, and we're closing out the year with a full moon in Cancer. So I really want you to pay attention to what is coming up for you right now. What have you learned about yourself? What have you learned about your ancestry, your lineage, your emotional world? Because by the time we get to the end of the year, you're going to have a lot of full circle moments. All right. And then on Sunday, the 4th, we close out the week. The moon in Cancer will line up with Saturn and Neptune nicely, and then pass by those two planets and then align nicely with Uranus. And then the moon enters Leo. So it's all about the heart. So we close out the week in a very heart-centered vibration. And that is your week ahead. Stay strong, stay calm, stay grounded. And if you come up into moments that feel very tense and or intense, revert to the element of water. That's going to be very powerful this week. What do I mean by that? Well, if you're near the water and you can get down to the water, even sticking your toes in the water. If you can't, no worries. Listening to the sounds of running water, perhaps a water meditation, washing your hair cleanses energy. The hair holds a lot of energy. Sometimes the best meditations are simply taking a shower and washing your hair, taking an Epsom salt bath. Anything that brings you into the element of water should feel especially soothing as we move throughout this week, and especially as we get towards that full moon on the 3rd. I hope that this was helpful, and I will see you all next week. Take care. Bye.